This is question 11 of exercise 7a. Part A wants us to consider this sequence. First part wants us to write down the next two terms of the sequence, and part 2 wants us to find a formula for the nth term of the sequence. Now let's take a look at this sequence here. If you were to observe the pattern, we can see that we keep subtracting 7 from the previous term to get the next term. So, to get the next two terms of the sequence is simply negative 31 minus 7, which gives me negative 38. And then negative 38, I have to minus 7 to give me negative 45. So the next two terms of the sequence will be negative 38 and negative 45. Let's go on to part 2. We need to find a general formula for the nth term of the sequence. So we see that the first term is negative 3, second term negative 10, and so on. If I were to write the terms in terms of the first term and then subtracting a 7 a certain amount of time, okay, I can see a pattern here. So I have to relate the term to the pattern that I'm seeing here. So for example, if I want to find the 8th term, I will simply take negative 3 minus 7 times of 7, because I see the pattern here. So the general term for this sequence, Tn, would be negative 3 minus 7 times of n minus 1. Then I will do some simplification, and I will get negative 7n plus 4. So the general term for the sequence would be negative 7n plus 4. This will be my working for 11a. Now let's go on to 11b. The first 4 terms of another sequence is given, and they want us to compare this sequence with the sequence in part A to write down a formula for the general term of the sequence. Let's do the comparison. So from part A, we have the first 4 terms of this sequence, and then for part B, our first 4 terms of this sequence. We see that for part B, we also subtract a 7 to get the next term, but the starting value instead of negative 3 is negative 93. So we can actually link it to our general term. For part A, the general term was actually formed using this. So for part B, our general term, because the difference is in the first value, so for part B, our general term will start from negative 93 minus 7 times of n minus 1. And I proceed to do my simplification. So it will be negative 7n minus 86. So this will be the nth term of this sequence in part B. We'll proceed with part 2. Part 2 asks if negative 268 is a term in the sequence, and we have to explain our answer. Now, if negative 268 is a term in the sequence, then we will be able to fit negative 268 into the general term. So Tn is negative 7n minus 86. if negative 268 is a term in the sequence, I will be able to solve for a term n that negative 268 belongs to. So let's try that. I will now solve for n. I'm able to get a positive integer for n, which is 26. So I can actually conclude that negative 268 is a term in the sequence. And not only that, I can even say that it is the 26th term. So it is a term in the sequence. It is the 26th term. This is all based on n being a positive integer. Now, if we solve for n and we did not get a whole number here for n, then negative 268 will not be a term in the sequence.